Greetings, Patrick here. Have Cheetah will view, and welcome to day 18 of the 31 Days of Halloween. The movie that we'll be talking about today is from 2023, and it is Night of the Caregiver. So this is my review of the film. Um, I've already interviewed. By the time you hear this, I've already had interviewed Alexander Nevsky, executive producer, and actor director Joe Cornet, and leading lady Natalie Denise Sperl. But let's talk about the movie. Um, so this is my thoughts. So Night of the Caregiver is a story about a hospice nurse named Juliet, who, after working a long shift, she sees a notice on a bulletin board looking for a hospice nurse for that night. It's a last minute request. Um, so Juliet, needing the money, she decides she's going to take the job. But she's beat. She's beat. But she goes ahead and she takes it, and she finds herself driving out in the boondocks to take care of this patient. So she tells her friend. That she is on her way out. Her roommate is Pamela. She tells her friend Pamela that she's on her way out to take this last minute job. Of course, Pamela's a little bit bummed out because she had hoped to have a Friday night in with her friend and watch movies. Um, so as she's zipping over to the house for the shift, we meet the other players in our little play. Detective Roman Eckhart is visiting parapsychologist Dr. King, and he is asking questions about paranormal activities, demonology, and whatnot because Detective Eckhart's mother has disappeared, and he's been chasing after her after supposedly some sort of creature comes out and and causes people to disappear. So he's chasing down leads, and Dr. King initially is sort of like, but he sees how dedicated Detective Eckhart is, and he starts telling him some facts about paranormal. He basically helps the detective by pointing him in the right direction with some information. So Detective Eckhart is on his way up north as well. This is probably set in about Central California. It's not. There's no town mentioned, but the rural area looks like California. I'm a California boy. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the house, Juliet gets here, and she knocks on the door, and no one answers. So she's looking at the house. The house is big and beautiful, and she's a little concerned. And then the door opens up, and she goes in, and then she meets her patient, Lillian Gresham, who's played by Eileen Dietz, also known who is well known for playing Pazuzu in the Exorcist film. And so uh, she has prepared some cookies for Juliet to have, and so the two women get to know each other. And meanwhile, Dr. King is calling Detective Eckhart, and they have another discussion, and then that's the end of it. Detective Eckhart seems to be knowing right where he's going, and Dr. King, he comments "sucker," but I don't think he realizes just how strong Detective Eckhart really is, and he knows what he's hunting. He understands it a lot more than Dr. King realizes. Um, so back at the house, and the first red flag goes up for Juliet. Is when she tries to get. Um, First of all, she can't get any medical records for Lillian. Her nurse didn't leave any care chart for her. Aftercare chart. Lillian says she doesn't like taking meds. She also doesn't want she doesn't want her vitals taken either. And so that's like a little ding ding. But she's really tired, and so she misses it. So she doesn't really want to tell us about their new patient. So she says, "Okay, well, we'll miss the the vitals here, but we'll come back and get them sooner than later. So, and then she says, if you relax and if you need to go around or if you need any help, just ring a little bell. And then, of course, now Juliet is now, she's very, very tired, and the house is really warm, and she's got a tummy full of cookies, and pretty soon she starts hearing voices and bumps in the night, and she starts getting freaked out. She calls her friend Pamela and tells her that, this is sort of weird, and when she goes to get something to drink, she opens the refrigerator door, and there's absolutely nothing in Lillian's refrigerator. It is bone dry empty. So that's a little different. And and then things escalate. And Juliet, being really tired, she starts snapping at Lillian a little bit because she's tired and she's hearing noises and she's concerned that, like there's somebody in the house. So she, basically says, is there anybody in this house other than us two? I mean, and she says, no, there's just us. And Juliet's not really believing that. She says, if I call the cops, what are they going to find? And it's just us two. That's if you can get the cops out here since we're so far out in the boondocks. And I don't think they'll, there's nothing out here other than us two. So things keep going, getting weirder and weirder. More and more, Juliet starts seeing hallucinations. She starts seeing spiders and creatures on her phone and everywhere else, and she's getting terribly freaked out. And when she tries to take Lillian's vitals again, Lillian really snaps at her, saying, "I don't want to have my vitals taken." And so it ratchets up, and pretty soon we see a mysterious creature start walking through the house and touching Juliet's face, and also killing her in her sleep. And Juliet wakes up and sees that, and she gets scared. She also goes to Lillian's room, and she sees herself sleeping next to Lillian, and that causes her to freak out even more. So something is definitely at play here, but we don't know what it is. All we know is that something wicked this way comes, and it has to do with Juliet, but we don't know what that is. And so the tension gets ratcheted up until we head to our third act. Now I really can't tell you any more other than that because I don't want to spoil it. That's right. But I'll give you some thoughts about the movie. I really liked the movie. I really did. I thought it was really well done. I probably a couple of my nitpicky things here was I wish it had been just a tad bit longer. The movie clocks in at 77 minutes, 72 after the credits. So it's a pretty thin movie. It could have used another 10 to 15 minutes on there to add on some more story. Maybe go back to Lillian when she got her diagnosis with her heart cancer or whatnot. Just a little bit more backstory to fill up. Maybe more of Detective Eckhart's backstory. That would have been really cool as well. But that's it just helps out because 77 minutes is not very long for a film. 72 minutes is not very long for a film, and you want to put a little more meat on the bone. Okay, so that's my really nitpicky. That's about it, right? So there's a lot more good to talk about, and the first and foremost thing I'm gonna say is Eileen Dietz is absolutely sensational in this movie. She playing Lillian. I really am impressed that Alexnader and Joe Cornet they had the wisdom and the foresight to cast Eileen Dietz in this role, and this is a big role. She carries half the movie. A lot of times when we see icons like Eileen, a lot of times they're just there for a scene or two and then they're out. Just enough just to put the name on the box. This is probably the best use of a horror icon for an independent film like this, probably since Triggered, directed by Christopher Moore, which featured Amanda Weiss from Nightmare on Elm Street in a major role. I mean, it was like a leading role. This is probably the meatiest role here that I've seen for an icon like this. And hats off to, like I said, to Jill and Alexnader and their team for casting her. Natalie Denise Sperl is a revelation. This is the first time, uh, well, actually the second time I've seen her. I saw her in Gunfight at Rio Bravo, but here she also too is a leading lady. She carries half the film too, and she does a really nice job. Um, she looks like the hairy nurse. She's tired. She's washed out. Um, she's just exhausted, and it comes across on camera. They don't gussy her up and make her look really, stunning as she is in real life. She's stunning, but they didn't go with that look here. They had her as being really, really tired, washed out, like frightened, unsure, frustrated, and it comes across as that. And I love the way they just played it down, and it makes a story a little bit more realistic. Though I do have to say, there is one other nitpicky thing I was really bummed out about, and that was some of the dialogue, which had her friend Pamela make a couple of rude comments about her patients. Um, I know it's for the story. I know that, I understand that, um, but I just really, that stuff like that just sort of bothers me a little bit. Maybe because it's too close to home for me. So there's that. But but that was only it. I did think that the actress who played Pamela, Anna Orris, she's really really cute. She seems to be. She'll probably have a really bright future if she goes forward with her career. She'll definitely have a bright future. She's beautiful and she's very very sassy and speaking of the backstory I was mentioning, that would have been cool too to see how Pamela and Juliet got together as friends. Um, Joe Cornet, who directed the film, is also outstanding as Detective Eckhart. He definitely comes in hard for the Hollywood type of ending, which is really cool to see because you don't really get to see that too much in horror movies like this. Most of the time, the hero rides in and he rides into his doom. But here it's a little bit different. Not gonna say if Detective Eckhart, is riding into his doom or not, because he he's got a big heart, but he's sort of outmatched, and I'll leave it at that. By the creature that is causing all the havoc. Um, so, but well, you have to check that out. I thought Joe did a nice job. I mean, he came across as being earnest. Um, he focused. His detective Eckhart knew what he was doing, know what he's looking for, and the ending was a lot of fun too. The ending, the very end of the film, the big reveal was very cool. Special effects aren't a lot here. There's not a lot of special effects. There's a couple of really good, effective ones. Um, I also want to say the location was top notch. The house that they filmed Night of the Caregiver in, top notch house. And hats off to cinematographer Scott Wilkinson, who that house, it seemed big but very very narrow. It seemed like it was not wide. It wasn't spread out. It was really compact, and the hallway seemed to be really really tight. And so I'm sure a lot of the camera work there was not the easiest. Um, the music was fine, scored by Sean Murray. No, not that Sean Murray, not from MCIS. The composer Sean Murray. The score is fine. It helps ratchet up the tension. And so yeah, um, I would definitely recommend. I definitely would recommend Night of the Caregiver. And this is Joe and Alexander's first venture into horror. They've done adventure films. They've done westerns. They did a couple of westerns. Maybe another one on the way. Maybe another one on the way. Um, and I would recommend this for any horror fan. You can watch this movie now. It's streaming for free on Tubi, but you can also buy it for your collection from ITN.com, who is distributing it. All right. Saw this on Tubi and I saw this on a screener, so I don't know if there's any special features on the film itself. So you'll have to tell me if anybody buys the film, if there's special features. All right, so that's day 18 for the 31 days of Halloween. Thank you to all who showed up for the watch party. We did a watch party for this in September, and we had a lot of fun. It was my first one, being the Cheetah. It was our first watch party. I want to thank everybody who came out and supported that. That was a lot of fun, and we're going to do it again sometime soon. All right. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting the sub button, hit the like button, and drop a comment down below. Comments are really, really important, as are the likes. So thank you for both of those, and we will see you for day 19 of the 31 days of Halloween. Peace.